Hello friends, and how are you? Now in these video series, I will try to describe what you can expect in exam content outline. All of us know these are some of the exam content outline. This is basically, let me just share the screen with you guys. This is the exam content outline. We have three domains with us. We have process, we have people, and we have business environment. If I can understand it rightly, it's all about people and processes. You see, only 8% is business environment. The majority is people and processes. So let's just go down and have a look at them. Yeah, I know that we have task one and that we have enabler, all those things explaining them. But let's see how we can utilize that in understanding the exam. What does this means for us? Exam actually haven't changed that much in a context that project can actually never change. It does not matter it is a predictive environment or it is an agile environment. So let's say we have a project. How projects are done? The projects are done by people, and how basically projects are executed. They are executed by repeatedly doing some processes. It can be agile environment, it can be business environment, but it has to be like we have to have some processes there. Processes are done by people. So, and business environment is there. So this is all about exam content outline: people, process, business environment. Okay. Now let's just focus on the people region and how it can help us in understanding our exam in a better way. So let's say this is a project. What is people? People are all those people who are going to execute the task, all your resources that are going to execute the task. So if you have team, what do you need to do? You need to manage their conflicts. You need to manage their conflicts. You need to see what the conflicts are there. You need to develop a team. You need to see how you can develop a team. You can take any example. You can have an example of your team. Let's say the team comes to you, and we all know the stages of team, the traditional stages of team. The team comes at forming stage, the famous Tuckman ladder. Tuckman ladder. Okay. So the team comes. Now, what is team? Mix of people having, if it is an agile environment, the agile environment recommends that you have a cross-functional people, people who are generalized specialist. What do I mean by generalized specialist? Like, we don't need subject matter experts in our team, people who can do only one task. We need generalized people, people who can do multiple tasks at the same time. So when the people come, the first thing is always a forming stage. There will be always a forming stage. The people start performing, like I would say performance, and if I can rate their team, the people will start performing their best. They will be doing their individual task. So actually you don't have a team there. The people are only performing their individual task, but they are doing the task to the best of their capability. So here you have a good amount of performance. So Bruce Tuckman basically called this stage as forming stage. Now the important thing that you must know here is the role of project manager. So in forming stage, the team is new. Here, the role of project manager is very important. What is the role of project manager here? He is basically he's giving direction. He's setting vision for the project. He's setting the vision that what is expected from him and how all these things are aligned in the bigger picture. So all the vision will be set at this location. This is one of the most important phases because here the role of the project manager is to give direction. If I can like elaborate this, role of the project manager is very important in forming stage. Why? Now members are unsure. They know they are like highly skilled people in their own area. They know how to perform their work. They know how to do the work. They can be a new member. Then at that time, if there's a new member, like I would say, let's say there is a new graduate, and he's new to the team member, then what would he require? He required training. So here, team member TNA need to be done. Training need assessment need to be done to ensure that how to basically align the needs of the project with the needs of an individual, and we need to ensure that if that training is being done, how the performance have been evaluated. So once that training need assessment is done, we need to see how the high performance has been achieved, because we don't want to waste the resources of the project on anything, and as a result we don't get anything. So forming is a very important stage. I would say forming is simply the most important stage. Why? Here, team is coming together. We need to set vision. We need to set clear goals. What need to be expected from the people. Here, the project manager. Here, may as a general aspect, project manager should act like a servant leader. Now, this is a new thing that is unfamiliar to the people who has done traditional project manager servant leadership, that you need to act like a servant leader. What does this mean? This means you need to help the team. You help the team, you remove the roadblocks, you remove all the roadblocks, and you see what is required by the team. As a general, this is expected from the project manager, but in the forming stage, when team is getting combined, when team is getting together, here I expect for a good project manager to be a more of a command and control, I could say, and a mix of a servant leader. Why? Here, once you set the vision, once the vision is set, so with the help of vision and mission, we get goals. The goals are set. Now goals can be temporary, small goals like daily, weekly, monthly. The goal of a sprint, we will get into the sprint. The goal of the complete project. The goals have to be set. What is expected from the project team members, that has to be clear cut for all the team members. So that is expected from all the team members. So the role of the project manager here is more like a, like he's assigning the task. He has a very high role, he has to be involved in the project team member. He have to be directive. I don't want to use the word directive, but this is what it is. In forming stage, the role of project manager is directive. He is giving direction for all those things. He is giving direction what is expected, what are the group norms, what are the ground rules. That is ground rules is very important. We will go into that. What are the ground rules that has been set for the team, and how you can follow those all the ground rules from the team. So that's all about the forming stage, the most important stage at this area. So the role of project manager is a of direction. So once the forming stage has been, let's say, achieved, I would put forming here, then the team members start working together. Once the team members start working together, then we move towards the next stage, and that next stage is actually a downward trend. This stage is called storming stage. Now many people don't understand that why we are moving from forming to storming. Just let me give you an example. You go to any team and they start working together. At the start, they don't have any conflict because everyone know their job responsibility. They are doing their individual task. They are not working as a team. That is very important to understand. Project manager is trying to make a team, and once he is trying to make a team, there will be an overlapping of task. I will be dependent on that person, you will be dependent on that person. For example, I have a team of 12 people. I am dependent on each and every person. So when I'm dependent, maybe there are some my expectations which are not clear. Maybe some of his expectations, her expectations that are not crystal clear. So we need to work on that. There will be conflicts, and some conflicts are good. I would say conflicts are healthy for team. So this stage is known as conflict management stage or storming stage. And the role of project manager here is a role of a coach. So let's just dive into that role, and let's dive into more detail of what is basically storming. Storming is the second stage that every team passes. Here conflict rises. Why conflict rises? because we are not sure, we are not 100% clear about the capability of other persons, and we are trying to convince that my way is the better way. Since the role of a project manager here is to do coaching, he is supporting the team and he is coaching individually as well as team member. So there are five level of storming: level 1, level 2, level 3, going from like slightly disagreement to war. Dreyfus basically gave that model. So let's not go into that detail model. I will go some other time. So here in coaching, he is basically guiding how to contact, how to help those people, how to negotiate an agreement, to set ground rules, and how to set clear expectations. He may be, the goal of the conflict management is to get somehow win-win situation. We have win lose, win-win, lose win, lose lose, and win win situation. These are the four win lose. Sorry, this is win lose. So here, through collaboration, problem solving, we are trying to get to a consensus to a win win situation. So the role of project manager in storming is a coaching team members to pass through this stage, through communication, through negotiation. Collaboration and communication are the key in agile environment in any project. So here he is going to do the coaching and all those things. So in storming stage, once the coaching is done, the team is now moving to a potentially better situation. Now the team is moving to a situation where they can actually work. Now once you move from this stage, you actually go to this. Now we were here, let me just erase it if I can. Once the coaching is done, we move towards the next stage, and the next stage is known as norming. The team is starting to perform a little bit better than before. This is called norming stage. Now, this team has a potential of working together. Here we start understanding the habits, how people are working. Maybe we still don't like the way they do, but we start accepting, we start understanding that their way of doing the work can actually work for the project. So this is called normalizing stage. So here basically project manager is mentoring. He's mentoring people, he's spotting, he's listening to them. Now, in these two stages, storming and norming, emotional intelligence play a great role. Emotional intelligence, EQ, is simply the most fundamental reality of the world. I don't care how good you are in your organization, how high your IQ is. If your emotional intelligence is low, you cannot succeed to the project management way, because in people management, emotional intelligence is simply the most important thing. So just let me put it how emotional intelligence can be classified at. I love quadrant, I'm a quadrant guy. It is personal, it is social. So let me put it here. So here, a person having high emotional intelligence, he will be good in knowing himself, knowing yourself, and knowing social. Here person having like, maybe he's good in social skills, he's more an outward person, extrovert person, but he does not actually know himself. He's more of a bragger person. Here a person does not know himself, and he does not even know the emotions of others. Here the person know himself, but he actually does not know how to communicate. Here is a very big danger for project manager. Both of these areas are danger, but this area is extreme dangerous. He needs to work on his communication skills. He needs to work on active listening. Active listening, a part of emotional intelligence. It's also a very important topic, especially for the project managers. We will elaborate it further. So let's just have a look of emotional intelligence in another way. Emotional intelligence is more of, it works basically this way. You know yourself means know your emotions. You know your emotions. This is the first step. The second step is manage those emotions. Manage your emotion. This is the second step. Then comes the, with the social, know social. The third step is know others, and the fourth step is manage others. manage others. So this is basically the emotional intelligence or emotional intelligence coefficient. If a person knows himself, he knows his strengths, his weaknesses, and he knows how to basically manage his strengths and how to manage his weaknesses. Like for me, I know one of my strengths is that I'm good at video, I'm charming, I can speak a lot, I love camera, but I know my weaknesses. My drawing is not good, as you can see. My drawing is not good at all. So, but I'm a visual person, so I like to make things big, big, big. Even if I have a big board, I will only like 4 to 5 things, then I rub it and move to other things. So I know my strengths, I know my weaknesses. So I know myself and I'm trying to manage it. Like I have a drawing board which is helping me to draw things better. Now, but the next step is I need to know the emotions of others. I need to know how other people's are emotionally attached and how my words can damage them and how I can help them to manage their emotions. So this is a very important subject that needs to be understood. Then we have active listening. Let's not go into that. That actually active listening is more towards storming stage. Active listening and emotional intelligence play more role towards the storming stage. So now let's move towards the highest stage of the project management, highest stage of the team management, and that is of course performing stage. At performing stage, the team knows their task. They are very well aware of what to do, what not to do. They are dependent on each members and they know, they trust that one member will do his task and the other member will do their task. So everything, all the goals are clear, vision is clear, the goals is communicated. So the role of the project manager here is more of a delegation. He needs to step away. This is very important. If we keep on sporting or coaching at this stage, it will actually demoralize the team. The team will start thinking that we don't know the task very well. That's why the project managers keep bothering us. So he has to basically delegate. Here, the role of a servant leader actually come. So the goal of any project manager is to produce high performance team. High performance team can only be get from by passing all through all of these stages: forming, storming, norming, and then performing. And of course, once the project is ending, we also have adjourning stage, and at adjourning stage we again have to do coaching. So that's all about the Tuckman ladder, and this Tuckman ladder actually plays a great role. If you look at the first exam content outline, the 42 processes, 42% of the exam people manage conflict. It's all about storming, leading a team. It's all about performing sport team performance. It's about performing, empower team members, also performing, ensure team members are adequately trained. You goes, as I explained, from forming to storming, and you see you build a team. So all task 6 are basically under this. Let's go to the next task. Task number 7: address and remove impediments, obstacles, and blockers for the team. It's all about servant leader and how basically servant leader can help here. Here, the servant leader concept will actually work a lot better. Servant leader will help here. Let me check my pen. Okay, negotiate project agreement. He needs to see how he can negotiate agreements with the project team and how it can basically help him in achieving the more success. Now here comes the collaborate with stakeholders. I already have made it my journey of stakeholder. I would highly recommend that you go to journey of stakeholder and journey of resource in order to understand these topics better. But here you basically do this thing. Build a shared understanding. Again, if you go to the first stage of the Tuckman ladder, it can help you engage at sport virtual team. This content I haven't covered a lot, but let's say the team are in the virtual team. They are like working from their home. That is the now new normal, I would say. So how would you do? How would you ensure the good technology is there? All those things, all those techniques will help there. And setting team ground rules, we already discussed how team ground rules can help. And then we have mentor relevant stakeholders. We saw that in the norming stage we have to basically mentor, and we have to see what are the stakeholders. And emotional intelligence, performance through emotional intelligence, we already discussed that. Now let's see, what does this means. This means that if you can understand the Tuckman ladder, the complete Tuckman ladder in the better way, which we are just uh, Tuckman ladder, forming, storming, norming, performing, adjourning. And you understand what is the role of project manager here, 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 and here. You can actually do 42% of your exam. The reason for making this video and collaborating and basically combining all these things is that just to show you exam is not difficult. It is doable. You just need to make sense of already what do you know and how you can align it. So master this video and it will help you clarifying all the details. I understand this is the first video that is covering. There are so many things that I need to go into detail and I will go into detail. I would recommend if you are preparing for your exam, like take your team example of your team, even take the example of your best friends and consider it as a high performing team. Let's say you are 4 to 5 friends and mark it on Tuckman ladder and situational leadership, how you basically utilize that. And I am sure you will understand the people process in a better way. In the next video, we will cover the process area.